there's an active force out there. The opposition is actively trying to erode the Constitution and rewrite the Constitution. You've got a constitutional right to bear arms, which is something that many countries don't have. Why not take advantage of that by being proficient and good at it? Because a pistol, a rifle, is just a tool. It's not inherently bad.
Right.
It's the person with the intentions behind it is either good or bad, and that's what people need to understand. Been a member here for going on 20 years at this beautiful outdoor shooting experience. People think that California, we're not into guns and we're not into shooting. We absolutely are. There's some beautiful outdoor shooting ranges. About 5 miles from my house is Rohagi's shooting experience, and it's a beautiful place. Outdoor berms, shotgun, pistol, duck hunting, rifle. This is a spot, man, and you're outdoors. I think we're gonna have a great time shooting. So for all of you, I'll be wondering what we're laughing at in the truck here. Ed, one of our videographers, he's sitting in the back of a Honda Civic, literally he's in the trunk of a Honda Civic, and he's got his legs dangling out. And to get the shot for you guys, Ed is literally risking his life so he can get the front of the truck here. Any chance you can flip the camera and show Ed in all his glory? Look at him, a cinematography expert.
All right, man, we're hanging out at Rohagi's. I've only done this one time, so I'm gonna brush up on my skills or lack thereof, and it's gonna be fun.
My dad, I don't remember this because I was 6 years old when we came to America, but in Armenia, apparently he was a hunter and he just hunted small game, rabbit, squirrel, whatever. So when we came to America, he bought himself a pistol. As I got older, he took me to the shooting range, and that's how I got hooked onto shooting.
When did you first introduce Andrew to shooting?
8 or 9, I brought him here to the range with me, and I've got a 22 caliber pistol. He shot that first. He enjoyed it, and he picked it up. I taught him all the etiquette and all that stuff, and he picked it up really quick. And today, he's 18, Chloe's 16, and they're both comfortable with guns, rifles, pistols, etc. And it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, and they know how to respect it. They know the rules of it. They know everything about why we even have them in terms of not only for self-defense, but the pistol itself is not a bad thing. It's the person who's using the pistol,
right,
and the intentions that they have. They could be good or bad, just like someone could go on a mass killing spree with a knife or a car. So as much as they're trying to erode the Second Amendment, what we ought to consider doing is figuring out why all of a sudden in the last 8 to 10 years we've got youth that has mental stability and they're finding themselves in a position where they have to get their hands on a pistol and go on a shooting spree. Personally, I think it's a byproduct of poor parenting. I think it's a byproduct of access to too much video games that are very realistic, and it desensitizes them in terms of shooting and killing. I think it's poor coping skills of rejection. I got rejected. How dare she reject me? I'm a pariah. No one gives me any attention. I'm going to go on a shooting spree and get my revenge. Fathers have a great influence on their kids, their young kids. Because when you look at when any kind of shooting happens on a mass level at a school or something, it's typically a male doing it. Right. And it's because of some kind of mental issue and lack of emotional control that has led to that. Most of it could be figured out early on as that kid is growing up, being taught lessons, being taught core values, a way of living, a protector, and really also having limited access or no access to video games that are so freaking realistic that it looks like you're killing people and their body parts are blowing up and you see blood splattering and all of that to the brain. The brain has a hard time processing real from fake, especially of a young brain that's starting to develop still. It's a developmental stage. And soon it becomes the perfect storm. They get rejected or they feel like they're being left out. There was not enough parenting to give them core values, proper understanding of it's okay to get rejected in life. You don't have to go and do bad things to people, but between bad parenting and I think video games, it creates this perfect social dynamic where it can pop off as a shooting spree. And so if we got rid of all the guns in the world, a young man still has mental and emotional issues because of poor parenting and being desensitized to shooting through video games. I think he's still likely to go and
find something else.
Yeah, he's going to get a knife.
Yeah. He's
going to get a car. And we've seen both of those scenarios happen.
Right.
And a knife doesn't run out of bullets, by the way. But anyway, with that said, let's rock and roll. Come take a look at this. But I think that was your first shot. And from 10 yards, you're within like a 6-inch circle. I mean, that is damn good for second time out on the range. A tighter group here, but I had 2 flyers. And once I turned up the brightness on my optic, I think these were a couple of my first shots. Once I turned up the brightness on my optic, I was able to land better shots.
Yep. So I remember you told me to get a Glock 19 for my first gun, which I haven't yet. I'm on the way.
Right.
I'm getting it.
Right.
But I haven't yet, and you recommended it to me for a couple reasons. Why would you recommend a first-time gun buyer to get a Glock 19?
All right. So this is where, like on YouTube, people are going to leave a ton of comments about how Glocks suck and this, that, and the other.
Engage with it.
Engage all you want, folks. Tell us about how the SIG is better or whatever you're shooting is better or the Hellcat. I grew up using the Glock platform. A lot of people who I know who are from the special operations community who have brought me out here and taken me to places to train with have used the Glock 19. The Glock 19 is like the Jeep Wrangler. That's what it's like. It's like the Jeep Wrangler. You can find so many parts for the Jeep Wrangler because so many people have it. It's such a popular vehicle. You could literally lift it, drop it, get all types of rims, tires, suspension for it. And the Glock is like that. Is it a pretty gun? I don't know. Some say yes, some say no. To me, it's a tool. It doesn't matter if a hammer's pretty or not. Right. It's reliable, it works, it's consistent. It goes bang every time you pull the trigger. You can find all types of doodads for it, parts for it, which to me is important because what happens if in the future they do ban guns and say you can keep the ones you have, but you can't buy new guns? Well, I want to own the pistol that has the most amount of interchangeable parts out there in the world because a friend might have a Glock 19 as well. I've got a Glock 19 and I'd be like, hey man, do you have a spring or do you have, this ghost connector or trigger connector? And you go, yeah, I got a spare one and now I could do something with it. Whereas I don't want a pistol that's so extravagant and new that there's not a lot of parts and pieces for it. So for me, Glock 19 works. I think it's a great first pistol to get. Everything I shoot for the most part is a Glock. I do have some revolvers and I do have some other pistols that are not Glock, but anything that's inside of a safe in the house or that's on my hip is a Glock. I know people out here want to know what I carry with me. 90% of the time I carry a Glock 43X with a Hollow Sun optic on it. And the other 10% of the time in the summer times, I'll carry the Glock 43, which is a little bit smaller with no optic on it. And I could literally wear it just like this under a t-shirt with shorts and you can't even see it. I like small compact pistols. And more than that, I like to not be in a position where I ever have to use it. So like, if I think we talked about this one time, if I pull up to a gas station and I see some crackhead tweaking out and, aggressively approaching people for change or something, I'm not going to go out there and put myself in a position where I have to get into a confrontation with him and then he pulls out a bat or a knife or a gun and then I have to draw my pistol. I'm just going to back my truck up and go to a different gas station because I'm not looking to get into a tussle. And I think that's the whole beauty of situational awareness. If you could be aware of your surroundings, you won't find yourself in a scenario where you have to access your pistol. What I'd rather do is have my pistol with me and be in a safe environment, and God forbid something pops off all of a sudden, it becomes unsafe. I am prepared to handle business, but otherwise I'd rather not put myself in the environment in the first place.
Would it be different if, because right now you're explaining a situation if you were already at the gas station, then you see the guy after you get there, like before anything happens, but after you got there, you parked and you see him, you're like, I'm going to a different one. Would it be different if you were pulling in and you already saw him messing with somebody, let's say a woman, or I don't know, like would it be different then? I know it changes if you have your family with you, if you're by yourself, if
So
you,
many
you know
variables.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So
many
it's kind
variables.
of hard to generalize, but
I'm just going to say for me, if I saw someone, I pull into the gas station, I see the crazy dude hassling a woman, and it looks like he's being aggressive with her. Obviously, I'm not going to draw my pistol. And this is why combatives, like you're great at boxing. I've become decent at jiu-jitsu, at grappling. I'm decent at boxing. And this is where combatives come in handy. I'm not going to go and fight him, but I'm going to try and de-escalate the situation. Absolutely. I'm going to try and de-escalate as much as I can, make sure this woman gets in her car, safely drives off, make sure crazy guy is told like, hey bro, everything's fine, just please leave her alone, please go away, go do your thing. Do you need me to buy you a bag of chips and a soda? Whatever it takes. Like one of the best ways to protect yourself and everybody else is through wordsmithing, right? Like I could de-escalate a confrontation because I can put my ego and bravado aside and use my words to get crazy guy to calm down.
right.
So maybe she's freaking out and panicking and getting hysterical, and that's triggering his predatory response even more. And so I'm going to intervene. That's what I would do. I'm not just going to drive off and then later hear about this lady being stabbed, murdered, raped, whatever.
Right.
I'm not saying that's what anyone else should do, especially in a state like California. You know, I think what they say, the law says, like unless there's like bodily harm or the chance of death for you or an immediate loved one, you shouldn't be drawing your pistol. Well, she's definitely not a loved one, but she's a fellow human. I feel like as a man, I have the duty and obligation to protect good people. And I would hope that as I get older and less capable, people would want to protect me as I'm an old, feeble man in my 80s trying to gas up my car and there's a crazy dude. I hope some young, strapping dude who's capable and confident and courageous is able to be there and look out for me.
Right.
But I think we have that responsibility. So I would intervene. I would wordsmith the best I could to get him to leave her alone, even if that means, hey, let's walk into the convenience store and buy you a bag of chips or whatever the fuck he needs to send him on his way. And I bet you 99.9% of the time, I'd be able to de-escalate that scenario without ever using my hands or grappling or a pistol or a knife, just by using my words. But that's what I would do, because I would feel like a piece of shit if I just drove off and then wondered what's happening to that woman.
Yeah.
Or just anyone who I feel like is in a threatened position and they don't know how to take care of themselves. I think as citizens, we have to look after each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
All right, should we go another round?
Let's do it.
So what do you say we shoot from a little further? We'll shoot from out here.
All right.
I think this puts us probably about 12 to 15 yards out. And this time we'll go the center of the head. So again, got 3 flyers and then got the rest on the head, 1 on the neck. I think my optics definitely need to be adjusted. We were talking about situational awareness earlier, like make sure I don't even have to get in the fight in the first place. There was a mom who sent me a message. You know, she said that her son was at a party, 16-year-old son was at a party, and he got murdered at the party by a crazy man. I mean, that's all I know. Right? That's all I know. I didn't get any more details, and I just, you know, sent her my condolences, and it just reminded me again of how important it is to learn all the different things. Not only combatives, but also, and again, I don't know the scenario here, but also if he's at a party, was the crazy man also at the party? Or was he walking by and started to get agitated and yell and scream, and because they're young men, they postured up and not realizing that he might be drugged up. Yeah, right? But there's so much to say about situational awareness, putting your ego aside, walking away, seeing crazy from a distance, and then gathering everyone up and getting them to safety before crazy can get to you. And there's so much to say about putting your ego aside, especially if you're a young kid, because, or hell, even a grown-ass man will end up making some bad decisions and end up getting knocked the fuck out at a bar or somewhere because he got a little liquid courage in him by drinking alcohol, not realizing the person he's picking on maybe has combatives experience, and before you know it, he mouths off and says something or does something and shoulders him, and it's like, before long, he's on the ground, choked out or punched out. And when I think about like how most fights can be avoided, it's like, put your ego aside, be situationally aware, and you can avoid a fight.
Right.
And then know the skills of combatives, from pistol to grappling to striking, so that if you find yourself where you have no other option, now you've got tools at your disposal, right? Instead of having to either feel like a victim.
When is an appropriate time for you to fight or engage with somebody, whether it's a party, bar scenario, out at the mall, whatever? Because I think it's confusing for some people sometimes. Like, they get the message that you need to be a protector, you need to look out for the people who are weaker than you, whatever. But then they also could run around thinking they're Superman and getting into situations where they don't need to get into. Right. So when is a situation that's appropriate to you where, like, okay, when a person does this or when you see this, it's time to get active?
If I feel threatened, or I see them threatening a loved one in a way like bodily harm,
or like another citizen, then, because earlier we use like the gas station situation.
That might be.
You got to use your best judgment.
That might be a great example too. I'm getting gas across the gas pumps. Let's say there's a woman in that same scenario that we talked about earlier. There's a woman pumping her gas, and there's a crazy dude, homeless guy, tweaked out guy, whoever, in her face. Now things are escalating and getting aggressive. First, I'm going to try and use my words, right? I'm going to try and use my words when I step in. And if a great example of that, if the words aren't going to be enough, then I'm going to use my might. I'm going to use my strength. And a great example of that was several years ago. I think I've told the story before, but we got a new audience, bigger audience. It's worth telling the story again. Several years ago, we were coming back from Hawaii as a family, and we took the 11 p.m. flight out of Maui because we wanted to enjoy the day at Maui first, and then take the 11 p.m. flight, take a red-eye flight to LAX. And we're sitting in first class, but we're sitting in the back of first class. So the last row of first class. And I always like to sit on the aisle. I like to sit on the aisle to make myself available in case something pops off. So I'm sitting on the aisle. Andrew's next to me in first class, and we're coming back as a family. And way in the front of first class and to the left is this dude who's slamming the headrest in front of him. He's making the gun gesture to the guy in front of him. People are starting to freak out. Like, they've gotten up, they want nothing to do with him. And we're already up in the air. Like, we're like an hour and a half into the flight. So we're literally over the Pacific Ocean, 35,000 feet up in the air. I look at the guy sitting across from me, and we make eye contact. No words were spoken. Just the eye contact was like, okay, this ain't normal. Something's going haywire with this guy here. And we almost, like, unspoken words, like, I've got your back, he's got my back. And that was that. I saw the flight attendants trying to do something. And so far, while the guy's slamming things and yelling and doing the gun gesture, he's not hurting anyone yet, right? And so the flight attendants go to the back of the plane, and I see all three flight attendants coming back with two zip cuffs interlaced together. And so I stopped the flight attendants. I'm like, ma'am, is there anything I can do to help? And she goes, no, by law, we have to ask him to put these on. And I was like, that crazy guy is going to get asked to put these zip cuffs on? I don't think that's going to happen. So they cut in front of him to create a distance between him and the cockpit. Obviously, that's the biggest thing they want to, since 9/11, they want to make sure that there is no attempt on this guy trying to break into the cockpit. And as soon as they get in front of him, and you can see the body language is like, hey, sir, you got to put these on. You got to calm down. They're doing all this stuff. He stands up and he starts screaming at them. And then she looks up at me and towards this guy, and she yells, help. We both go running up, cut in front of the galley. That was literally like a month or two after I had finished my 6-week challenge with Aaron Weatherspoon, MMA fighter. And so I learned the basics of MMA for 6 weeks, had continued it on. And I remember Aaron teaching the rear naked chokehold. And so I'm in front of him and he went to push me, punched his, pushed his arms away, and got behind him, got him in a rear naked chokehold. And I'm literally yelling in his ear, like, bro, calm down. I don't know what the fuck is going on with you, but no one needs to die on this airplane right now. We don't need to have this drama, like, relax. And he's not relaxing. He's just bucking like a bronco. And the other guy's trying to help me, and it's just like, tight quarters in an airplane. And I'm like, holy hell, thinking in my head, how the hell did I find myself in this scenario? But thank God I've got this skill that Aaron taught me. Anyway, so after tightening up on his neck, he starts going limp. We're on the ground. As he starts passing out, I loosen up so we can try and zip cuff him, and I turn around into a guillotine chokehold so that I can free up his back so that the buddy there could take the zip cuffs and zip cuff him. And I'm thinking to myself, like, thank God Aaron taught me, like, rear naked chokehold, how to go transition from one position to another position to a guillotine chokehold. And the whole time, as he's like getting limp and I'm choking him, and then he loosens up again. And then as I relax a little bit, he starts bucking again. I'm yelling in his ear, like, bro, calm down. You're going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. But at the end of the day, we ended up zip cuffing him. And the flight attendants wanted us to put him in the back of the plane, and we sat security until we landed at LAX, and then the cops came and took him away. But the point of this is, we're 35,000 feet up in the air. If this guy had any bad intentions, if he had snuck a knife or a shoe bomb, like that shoe bomber from back in the day that was trying to light his shoe on the airplane to blow up the whole bomb, like, I feel a certain level of responsibility, not only for the people I love, but just humans in general. And I feel like as I get older and I become incapable of having that responsibility, like you and my son's generation are next. And then you guys have to teach your kids to look out after your generation as you guys get older, etc. And I think that's how this keeps going on. I think in the olden days, it was taught that way. The Spartans and in the medieval times, and we were always teaching the generation coming up how to be defenders of freedom, of people, and look after them. Somehow in the last 10, 15 years, all that has stopped. And we're finding just young kids incapable, with no confidence. And I believe, again, that leads to then them getting emotional and grabbing a pistol, grabbing a knife, trying to run over people with a car, being assholes and bullies on social media. Man, I'm not going to be an asshole or a bully, because if I'm being a social media bully and then you run into me in real life, guess what? You're probably going to clean my clock. And so for me, if I see someone who's threatened, I'm going to step in, just because I feel I have that duty and obligation. But I'm going to step in with my words first, try and calm everybody down, and then go into, combatives if I have to.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, let's get out there one more time. We'll see with one hand from 50 yards how many shots it takes to hit the metal plate.
Let's do it, yeah.
Actually, it'll be more than 50 yards. It'll be about 50, I would say about 53 yards, roughly, because the red cone to the wooden targets is 50, so it's 53 yards to the metal plate. But we'll see how many shots we need to take, and we'll both use the same pistol,
Dope.
the Glock 19. I have a feeling Leighton's gonna hit it literally on the first shot. But
that pressure.
Yeah, we're 53 yards away. We're shooting with one arm, and we're gonna keep shooting until we hit the metal plate, and we'll see who can get the better shot in. That was a hit.
That was it.
That was it.
Yep. Yes, sir.
That was 6 shots
Nailed
to
it.
your 4 shots. Bro, you're just an all-around athlete.
You know, I thought it was crazy was like when they say like prone and they say urban prone. You know, like the different like stances, I guess you call it, when you're shooting.
I didn't even know there was names for them.
Yeah. So I thought this was interesting. I might be a skeptic, but
Yeah.
when Tim Kennedy was teaching us, we're laying on the ground and just laying flat under a car, for example,
Yeah.
shooting prone.
Sure.
Urban prone was turning it to the side and shooting that way.
Okay.
I just thought it was funny. I don't know, my brain might be connecting it, but like prone, urban prone, got a whole
Oh,
other side.
I see. Gangster style. Got
You
it.
got to put some swing on it.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Make it urban.
Yeah,
Urban twist.
Yeah, that makes a
I
lot
like
of
it.
sense.
Quick fashion question. Should I wear this Tech 9 with the high tops? Or should I wear this Uzi with my low tops?
So here we are having an entire morning at Rohagi's shooting experience out here in Chino, California. And it's a pretty cool experience, man, to come out on a beautiful day like this and just get those sets and reps in on proper pistol handling, manipulation, loading, workspace, presentation, shooting, sight acquisition, all those things. Like anything else, it's a perishable skill. If you don't use it, you lose it. And it's cool to see how you keep improving. But this is also stuff that we teach at the Squire program. Why don't you tell everyone what the Squire program is all about?
Yeah, man. So, I mean, the Squire program is a father and son experience, a rite of passage, if you may. Really, it's supposed to be an experience that's good for the sons to see if they have what it takes to have a sit at the table with the men. But the dads always tell us time and time again that they took as much, if not even more value than the sons did. And you get to see them, their relationship. A lot of times, maybe in the morning, they're tired. Maybe the kids didn't want to be there at first. Then as they go through each evolution, you see the bond between the father and son getting stronger and stronger. And then by the end of the day, they're high-fiving, they're hugging, they're excited. And now they have a bunch of stories to go home and share with mom and, you know, their siblings. And it's just an awesome experience.
If you're wondering, like, is it really something that I should do with my son? If you're a dad, if you're an uncle, and you have a nephew, and the nephew has an absent dad, you know, get involved with him. We just want to create an environment with the Squire program where you're doing fun stuff. You guys are doing cool challenges and evolutions together, from ice bath to truck pull to hiking with logs and kettlebells and stuff. Lessons are learned, learning combatives, learning how to shoot a pistol, and all those things translate into real world experience. And as a young boy who's going through that experience with their dad, it's such a really cool thing. Like the dude that you look up to is helping you go through this experience, and you feel like, all right, I'm no longer a boy, I'm becoming a man, and this is like what a man does in terms of the lessons that we teach about courage, confidence, compassion, developing capabilities. And what's really rad about the Squire program is now we have it in 5 different states: California, North Carolina, Illinois, Colorado, and Florida
Florida's
as well.
coming up. Can't wait.
And so
That's gonna
East
be
Coast,
awesome.
the Squire program is out there now. We've got awesome instructors who are running it. It's a great experience. If you check the link in the description box, you'll find the Squire program. Come join one of our classes, go through the 12 to 15 hour experience. It's not only an awesome rite of passage for your son, but it's really something that is going to be a memory and experience that'll be remembered for a lifetime.
Yep.
See you guys.